this section, we're going to look at the blues. Just to talk about what blues is to start off with, blues is generally heard in a 12-bar format. Here in New Orleans, interestingly, they feel the pulse differently, and I think that's because of the Caribbean roots. And so in New Orleans, it's more common to hear an 8-bar blues than a 12-bar blues. And let me just give you an example of how a 12-bar blues sounds and how the form works. We're going to play it in C. All these examples are in C, and you can move them, transpose them to any other key. But a 12-bar blues in simple form might be something like this. It's 12 bars. An 8-bar blues in New Orleans might sound like this. So that's 8 bars. It's shorter. The way the tension and the release work is subtly different. But it also importantly lends itself to a different way of approaching the harmonic textures that you might want to draw on. I feel personally that it lends itself to a funkier approach to the rhythm and more of a major feel to the melodies and the harmonies, which fits in really with the Spanish Caribbean and the French Caribbean and the way the major scale is utilized in the folk music of the French and Spanish Caribbean islands, that style being a mixture essentially of African and French and African and Spanish. But let's look at some of the blues textures from a harmonic point of view. When you play the blues, or the way New Orleans piano players played the blues, they can utilize a lot of passing chords, and you can slur the notes using the sustain pedal in such a way as to create this nice kind of sleepy, dreamy, slightly drunk sounding. The New Orleans way of playing the blues has a lot more detail and a lot more decoration. When you think of Chicago blues, then you're thinking of a style that's really driven by electric guitars, played in the guitar keys, which are easier, which makes the piano sound a little bit more crude, which is a good thing. Can be a flavor that you can use in New Orleans. I tend to think that the blues piano sounds a little bit like those, like the way the balconies, the wrought iron metal balconies on Royal Street look. It's like a lot of detail. So let's look at that. In the left hand, blues piano players like James Booker and Dr. John and Alan Toussaint would utilize the 10th. The 10th is a beautiful interval which sets like a playground for the right hand. So you can have a 10th here and then and then mess with the blue notes up here with judicious use of the sustain pedal, so you get these nice slurs. Careful not to leave it on too long, so that you end up with stuff like that, which is not pleasant to the ear. Be careful how you use the sustain pedal, but use it in the right context to create overhanging notes, which add to an overall color that's slightly sad, slightly mysterious, quite sexy, and very evocative of the city of New Orleans. It would take a week to go through all the different ways you could play blues. Like down here, like Eskimos have 100 words for snow. Well, down here in New Orleans, there's 100 ways of playing blues and rhythm and blues. But these are just some of the important elements. Your voicings, how you voice seventh chords by adding elements like this and 9. Using different inversions. Making sure that the left hand is strong by doubling it up. And then sometimes playing chords. Using the tenth, so you get that big spread in this nice range of the keyboard, which allows you then to embellish with your right hand, put the icing on the cake. Also, how you use passing tones and passing chords and substitutions to get around the chord changes. So the very first chord change in a blues is the 1 to the 4. So how do you do that? How can you get around that? Well, you can use the 7th chord. So and then you can use this one and slur up to it, or you could go the other way and go slur down to it. You could even stretch out those voices. And then instead of going from the 1 chord straight to the 5 and then to the 4 and then back to resolve the blues, you could use to introduce the 6 again. So here we've used substitutions, we've used strong bass and passing chords, and we've used the left hand playing tenths to produce a nice bed against which you can superimpose all the detail. And then you can work your way around the 12 bars or the 8 bars of a New Orleans blues.